Hello and welcome to tonight's round 10 of the Sunday Nightly Formula X series. This evening we will be at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, specifically the layout of Monza without the chicane. So drivers will need to make sure they are paying very close attention as they cross the start-finish line and they don't brake for a chicane that just isn't there. We'll see if any drivers do make that mistake. Hopefully none of them do. They've had plenty of practice leading up to tonight's race. We'll see how they get underway. A few apologies to get out of the way at the moment. Unfortunately, Guesty, and by the looks of it, Guesty will not be able to attend today's race, so they are currently stuck in traffic on way to the track. Noxie will also not be able to attend, unfortunately, and their replacement, Jim, will also not be able to. But we've still plenty of drivers left on the grid. So let's have a look at the current championship standings to see who to look out for in today's race. Oh, we seem to be having a bit of a lobby issue at the moment, but not to worry, it might delay our race slightly. We were scheduled to start at 8:30 in a few minutes, but we'll just take a run through of the current standings whilst we wait. So after round 9, so last race, the current standings are Cthulhu still holding on to a lead with their Red Bull. In first place, they had 163 points going into this race. In second, so quite a comfortable lead with 131 points. Behind first is SNL Jam with the Alpine. Matt Psycho still up in third with 101 points, and Little GP with 94 points in fourth. Aleximus Maximus up into fifth, with 85 points, although closely followed by Noxie. We'll see how that plays out though, given that I think Noxie will not be able to join us this evening. So if Alexis Maximus is on the driving order, we could see them break away from Noxie in the points, give them a bit more breathing space. Now in 7th we have Jacques Jaja of the Ferrari with 75 points. GT Racer comes in 8th at the moment in the championship in their McLaren with 67. Guesty behind them with 64 points in 9th. Digital Blasphemy is in 10th with 58, though closely followed by Digweed in 11th with 57 points. You start to sort of get to the very tight midfield at this point. So we've got Pheasant Plucker with the McLaren in 12th with 53. Paleshi has 49 points. Centulio with 43 in 14th. 15th is Wolfbane with 36. 16th is Jim with 33. Tommy Paynes, I think Tommy was having some technical difficulties looking at the chat in the lobby. They currently sit in 17th with 31 points. Get rid of some of these names for you. Back again, here we go. So they were currently sitting in 17th at the moment. I'm Stupid is in 18th with 14 points. Pat 96 is in 19th with 12. Joint with GDE Trust of the Williams. Both of those two have 12 points. OKC Ranger has 6 points in 21. And in 22nd, we have the Gazman of the Ferrari in 5th. It does look like Alexis Maximus is joining today's race, so they'll be good on the points if they can score some, that is. They'll give them a bit more distance between themselves and Noxie. They'll make them a bit more comfortably ahead in 5th, although only 9 points between them and 4th position. 16 between them and 3rd. So depending on how well they do in today's race, could see them jump up the grid order into 3rd position. I do believe Tulu and Jim are currently sitting 1st and 2nd, but they're far enough away that I don't think they need to worry about Alexis Maximus just yet. Depends how well they will do in today's race. So far in the running order we have Jacques Jajar, DT Racer, Gazman, Alexis Maximus, SNL Jam and Paleshi. Paleshi on the super softs there. Looking like the supers may probably only last about 11 laps on this track orientation. This is the Monza without the chicane. And we're expecting to have about 42 laps. Only 10 corners, but Monza is known as the Temple of Speed. So today's race will be all about speed, particularly without that chicane, which means that drivers will probably going into Curva Grande about 200 miles an hour. Now with the downforce that these here Formula X cars do have, I suspect they may even be taking Curva Grande out completely flat. Let's have a little look down the rest of the grid. So we've got GT Racer coming up to Curva Grande at the moment, flat out all the way through, not lifting up at all. 200 miles an hour around Curva Grande. What a great speed going through there. So certainly Temple of Speed lives up to its name, Monza does. Now looking through the rest of the running order of things, today's tyre of choice for the Bridgestone teams, that's the Alpine, the McLaren and the Red Bull. They have the options of the super softs and the mediums. And rather interestingly, I think GT Racers had a bit of an off there and straight back to the garage. So we'll go on board with Jacques Jajar, who currently is in first at the moment with a 118.3, but they're only in practice at the moment. We'll go through the starting grid once drivers are looking like they're getting ready. So the Michelin teams, the Aston Martin, the Ferrari, Mercedes and the Williams also have the options of the super softs and mediums, which means we may not see as many strategies as we have done in previous races where there's been different compounds for both parties. But it'll be interesting to see whether some of the drivers will start on the medium just to get that out of the way nice and early, although that's not worked out so well for too many of the drivers, I don't think, in previous races. A lot of them starting on the softer compound that was available to them. I think we have Alexis Maximus going off into the distance there. Managed to rejoin the track. So starting on the softest available and then throwing on the mediums or the harder compound that's available to them later on in the race at the very last minute, as drivers need to make sure they use both compounds of tyre available to them or they will receive a penalty. Now, starting order for tonight's race, should they join, of course, Tommy Paynes will start pole on the grid, followed by Gazman, GT Racer and Digital Blasphemy make up the second row. Pheasant Plucker and Jacques Jajar make up 5th and 6th. 7th is Digweed with Wolfbane in 8th. Alexis Maximus comes in 9th on the grid start. Noxie in 10th. Guesty in 11th. Paleshi 12th. SNL Jam in 13th. And 14th is Cthulhu, our current championship winner, who does appear to be in the lobby. So we still have our current championship leaders in the lobby. We're looking like we should start in the next minute or so. I'm sure the stewards will ask the drivers to make sure that they are ready to go ahead. And fortunately, with the lack of the chicane here at Monza, it means we'll avoid the usual carnage that we tend to get coming into the first corner, where it's a grid start, everyone's brakes and tyres are still cold, and some drivers just aren't aware that this is the case. Alexis Maximus going off into the distance by the looks of it, into the gravel trap there, just disappearing off. So we avoid, by not having the chicane, we avoid any dramas coming in on the first corner, first lap. But it does mean that the first chicane ends up being, I believe, the Curva della Regia. Excuse my pronunciation. So drivers have been warned by the stewards about track limits, particularly about running out wide. So all 4 lines being beyond the white lines, which does determine the track limits, particularly a parabolica. That's the second to last corner before the finish line. They've asked if they need to lift off the throttle, because holding the throttle is an advantage when going down the long straight. Now it looks like all the drivers are ready, and hopefully we should be ready to go. We've not got any more incidents to report on. I think there are only were there any incidents from the last race? We'll have a look at that. We'll do that later in the race, actually. So tyres of choice are, as I mentioned, the super softs and the mediums. Currently Gazman in the Ferrari practicing on some mediums. Be interesting to see whether they start on the mediums. SNL Jam in the pits on the mediums. Not sure if they'll start though. So the stewards there wishing everyone a good luck, and final should be ready to go. A little bit of a nudge from there. We'll see how that goes in the race. Once again, hello and welcome to today's Sunday Night League Round 10. Today we are at Monza, specifically the layout track with no chicane, so there'll be no nonsense at the first corner, first chicane with cold brakes and cold tyres. Everybody will be nice and warmed up, ready for the first chicane at the Circa della Regia. Now, let's get those names out the way as we wait for the lights to go out. First on pole is Gazman with GT Racer making up the second position. We'll see who gets away first. Let's go out. Oh, was that a bit of a jump start there from the Gazman? I think they hesitated a little bit, the second position there. So let's have a look. Maybe quickly go back. Can we go back and have a look at that one? Afraid not. They have missed that one, unfortunately. Ooh, yeah, I think Gazman got away. It looked like maybe Digweed, I don't know who that was. Just missed something there. So, coming into the first chicane there, seems to be relatively clean, but a few changes in the running order of things. So, Gazman in first, Paleschi in second, Jacques Chazard into third, Alexis Maximus already up into fourth. Cthulhu, our championship leader, is currently sitting back behind. SNL Jam seem to have fallen a little bit back behind, but 2 Red Bulls at the back of the garage there. So maybe let's have a look. Seems like they've fallen a bit behind there. Not sure why they've broken away from the group order. Unfortunately, the replay doesn't let me go back that far. Already making their way round the parabolica is Gazman. Let's see what tap times they're already saying. So we've got 1:21 at the moment, but it's only the first lap. They start from the thing. We'll see, surely see that come crashing back down. Got to keep a watch out for Cthulhu. They do tend to set the fastest lap on a good Sunday. Look at these 215 miles an hour. So almost 2 abreast there with GT Racer. Oh, just going all over the side there with Jacques Chazard side by side. And they're struggling for grip as they got around there, but Jacques Chazard just losing out there. What's the Ferrari, I think, maybe? Oh, what's going on with my camera work here? Where's that Ferrari that's Gazman? What has happened to Gazman? Not entirely too sure. The one of the Ferraris went off there. Gazman's camera work is he's stuck at the moment. We'll have to see what's gone on there. Currently walking down in 7th, but Paleschi up into first place. So I think Gazman has managed to just fall back down. They were in that Ferrari. I think they've just overcooked it. Got a wheel on the gravel and out the back end went, unfortunately. So Paleschi leading after 2 laps. Alexis Maximus up into second. That'll be great for their points, but still plenty of race left to go. All of these drivers on the soft. GT Racer in third. Jacques Chazard into fourth. The other Ferrari of Gazman down in seventh at the moment after that spin, although still ahead of Digweed, who is in eighth. Currently at the moment, Gazman is on the mediums. Perhaps that may be why they had that little spin. Just not as much grip as some of these other drivers, but that could pay off later in the game. There's still all to play for. It's still about 20-30 seconds for a pit stop on here, but having gotten those mediums out the way, and actually let's maybe have a look at the degradation. Not a lot of degradation on those mediums. If they can make them last as long as their fuel's able to, although that could be a bit difficult there, managed to keep it more or less on the track on that occasion actually, so that's good. Well done there. Hopefully that's the last of their troubles with that chicane, but we'll have to wait and see. This is quite a good corner we've got there, going through the Cava della Fialone. So if you manage to hook that one up nicely, you can carry quite a bit of speed through that corner. It's a real satisfying feel. You've got Parabolica here. Key to Parabolica, I find, is always go for a late, maybe let's have a look, some of the drivers coming up to Parabolica. So let's go on board with Gazman at the moment. So the key, I find, is always a very late apex. So you want to brake as late as possible and keep to the left-hand side, and then come in for that late apex just as you turn around, and then that gives you plenty of run-up and speed to straighten the wheel out onto the long straight here. See, look at that, already trying to hit 200 miles an hour, sorry. Although that Ferrari looking like it's struggling, so that's where the chicane usually would have started and then rejoined the track. But no chicane today. 205 miles an hour to go down Curva Grande into the first chicane, braking at the 100-meter mark. Riding those curves very nicely, getting on the power quite quickly. Great work done there. Take that right-hander, that can really catch you out, that one, if you're not paying close attention. Very key to get this corner right, as this whole corner, if you get good exit speed, leads you up very nicely for this back straight that we have here before you head down into Curva del Vialone. I may remember these corners by the end of the race, I'll be pronouncing them. So you can see just there, if you manage to hook those corners up very nicely, they weren't too far off of it actually there, Gazman. That's very satisfying to get around as they come up to Parabolica, as we've already gone over that. So braking that late, follow there where you've got all that rubber that's been laid down by previous drivers. Keep it nice and wide. What a great lap that was. 1:17.7, only a second off the fastest lap at the moment. That's currently held by Palesci, who's out in first. Now we know these Williams have got a lot more oomph than some of the other cars out there. And given this is the Temple of Speed, as mentioned previously, they will need to be using that to their advantage with these long straights. So we'll just see how fast they get going down here. Already hitting 200 miles an hour. Just dipping on the brake there, coming through here. Now we'll keep an eye. We'll stay on board with Palesci at the moment. We'll see what speeds they're hitting as they come into Curva Grande. We know that some of the other drivers were hitting about 202, 203 miles an hour, and we'll see how the Williams compare with the token spends that they've used on getting that additional power earlier on in the season. Now we're hitting 200 by the start-finish line. Looks like they're doing about the same. Just getting that. Can we get that 210 even? 208. Oh, there was just a flicker of a 210 at that moment. 208 though seems to be consistent. So got a few more miles an hour. And when you're slipstreaming somebody, that could be all the difference. Now, oh, let's go back with that one. Little bit of a wiggle from Palesci there. I think they just got on the power. Yeah, a little bit too early, I think. Back end stepped out, but they managed to correct that very nicely. Might have lost a bit of time there. They did have about 4 seconds between them and Lexus Maximus. Still have the 4 seconds though, 4.4. Lexus Maximus in their Mercedes, sitting very nicely in second, about 4 seconds either side of them. GT Racer in third at the moment, though only 2.2 between them and Cthulhu, who's made their way back up, starting last on the grid. This is a reverse order of the current championship, and Cthulhu is our current championship leader. have already made their way up into 4th position. SNL Jam, who's currently 2nd in the championship, is in 6th. We'll see where they end up. SNL Jam does very well later on in the stages, quite keen with the pit stop strategies. It'll be interesting to see what drivers end up doing. We've got 42 laps and all the super softs are expected to last 11. Now, will we see the drivers go for a 3-stop strategy, 4 stops even, throwing on 3 supers and a medium? Both teams having to use one of each of the supers and the mediums. Now, it'll be interesting to see whether Gazman is still sitting on their mediums. They are actually still sitting on those mediums now. Ooh, little bit of a spin there from Cthulhu's. Sympathy spin, sorry, a little bit of an off rather, should I say, from Cthulhu. They did manage to spin, which is good, but Jacques Jajard in the distance there, taking a bit of gravel with them. Perhaps for sympathy reasons even. Now, as we aforementioned, let's have a look at any of the incidents that came up in the last race. So there was no incidents from the last race. Actually, it was quite a clean race had by all. So we just got Cthulhu. Oh, can they go around the outside of GT Racer in their McLaren around Curva Grande as they come into the chicane? Will we see any daring moves down the inside? No, don't see any daring moves, but GT Racer did try to give them a little bit of space, thinking they may try to cut that corner. We do have a yellow further up the grid. Who is that yellow for, though? That yellow is for Alexis Maximus. Let's go back and have a look at that. What have they done there? No, let's go back with Alexis Maximus. Just cut that apex too much, and unfortunately, yeah, they've cut the apex too much on the inside, nudged the bumper, and that sent them spinning out into the gravel pit. That's dropped them down to 5th, unfortunately. Cthulhu seemingly struggling a little bit over the back of GT Racer. I, for sure, certain thought that they would have gone past on that straight we just had there. Now, will they even manage to get a bit of a slipstream? Quite a long straight here. Without that chicane, you are really susceptible to people eating up your slipstream and swinging past. Or will Cthulhu hang behind, try and conserve some of that fuel, conserve some of the tyres maybe even? Doesn't look like they will. Goes for the inside line. Oh, just brushes up there, tries to correct it, and goes into the side of GT Racer, but neither of them go off. There was a little bit of a nudging there. I think we're all okay to continue. Cthulhu didn't gain any places there. So GT Race is still in front, but Cthulhu all over the back, and certainly some of those nudges would have paid off and gone, oh, I'm coming for you, I'll get you around you eventually. So great, good line through there, managed to get good bit of speed. I suspect the slipstream from GT Racer is helping, but quite a bit of dirt. Yeah, I think they're just a bit too far behind to be overtaking either that, or that McLaren has got some good straight line speed to not quite pulling away from the Red Bull, but certainly staying in front. That Red Bull just not able to. We'll see if we get a daring move into Parabolic here, just off the racing line. Cthulhu would have been. I think they just broke a little bit earlier there because they knew they were off the racing line, wouldn't be able to take as much speed, and that Parabolic can really spit you out if you don't take the right line through there. I've personally done that many times myself. However, they are right all over the back of the bumper. Now, can Cthulhu overtake GT Racer going down the start straight here into Curva Grande? I think they certainly can. Now, side by side, Cthulhu, GT Racer, just a little bit of a nose behind. However, GT Racer has the inside line coming up to the chicane. No, doesn't go for that little inside move. Try and lunge down the inside, as I thought they might have done. No, they've allowed Cthulhu through. So Cthulhu Starting at the back of the grid, our championship leader now up into second on lap 10 of our 42-lap race. Already opening the gap up between them and GT Racer. We've got 1.6 seconds. However, Paleschi, a comfortable 13 seconds ahead. That was the best sector there from Cthulhu. Paleschi setting a 1:15.9 at the moment. That was their 5th lap. They'd be hard impressed to see any of the drivers managing to beat that. And that's a pretty decent time. Their last lap being a 1:16.7. Now, I don't think Paleschi's got enough of a gap. That 12.9, let's say 13 seconds, enough of a gap to sneak a pit stop in without hoping that Cthulhu is also going to go for a pit stop. Cthulhu's got a bit more fuel on board there, though. They've got just under a quarter of a tank, so they've maybe got a couple more laps in them, whereas I think Paleschi will probably get that fuel. Yeah, we go, as I was just saying, they'll get that fuel warning light saying they've got less than a lap of fuel remaining on board, so they will certainly be in this lap for some fuel and maybe a fresh set of tyres. But as predicted, though, those supers have lasted about 11 laps. Question is, will they stay out on the supers, as they will then having to be hunting down Cthulhu? Not sure where they're going to drop down in the grid order. You've also got GT Racer, whose supers are looking a bit more bedraggled than some of the other drivers that we've looked at already so far, but their fuel light is also going, so they will definitely have to be pitting. Same as Alexis Maximus, their fuel light's going. Jacques seemingly all right on the fuel, still got a quarter of a tank going there. Paleschi into the pits. SNL Jam, a little bit of fuel. I'm not sure if they managed to get a lap out of it. They might be able to squeeze. They've got the medium tyre available at the moment to them. Will they stay on that medium? I always say it every week. I'm wondering whether they stay on the medium. Ooh, interestingly, has SNL Jim already missed the pit entry? I think they did, just as the fuel light flashed on. So Paleschi, Jacques Jajar, GT Racer, and Alexis Maximus all into the pits. Cthulhu stays out, though I suspect Cthulhu on this, what's the yellow flag there for? Not sure if we've got, well, it seems to be Digweed that maybe, I believe, has spun. Yeah, they've just spun round there, probably just got a bit of curb too much. It's a typical mistake going through there. Personally done it many a time, so no worries with that, but they've not lost any positions at the moment. So Cthulhu's fuel light flashing, same with SNL Jam. I say it every race. Wonder whether they'll leave the mediums on, as they've not got a lot of degradation to them, though that rear left maybe has a bit more than would be liked. However, SNL Jam, now having gone on the medium, can rest assured, at ease of mind, they can stay on the super for the rest of the race. Now, quite convenient that a full tank of fuel will get you about 11 laps, and the supers also last about 11 laps, so you can time them quite well. It's pretty good when they both line up. Gazman also into the pits. Paleschi having pitted on the last lap. Now safety switches on the first. Just read through the YouTube comments there. It's quite funny there from Endurance Nuts, just saying that Toto's on the pit wall and we've got safety switches on the pit. Now Paleschi's up in first. They did have a 13-second lead, now got a 9-second lead over Cthulhu, having pitted previous lap before for some super softs again. So I suspect they'll be coming into the pits in about 11 laps time for another set of, let's face it, probably going to go for the supers. Now, because Paleschi is ahead by one pit stop, just mean that Cthulhu can keep an eye on them and see when they're going to pit for the mediums, as they know that if they're getting close to the end of the race, they're going to have to throw those mediums on. Now it's a question of whether there'll be some strategy going on with the Red Bulls and the Williams at the moment, whether they'll try and throw the medium tyre on in the middle of the race. Eating up that lead time there, 7.7 seconds now. Was at 9, but Cthulhu absolutely hunting them down. You can see them in the back of back of the shot there. So let's just compare the times. We've got 2:03 at the moment there. Not as quick through, just a 1:98. Coming into Curva Grande, they were just touching on a 1:10. The Red Bull just managing to get a 2:08. So some small differences in power between the Williams and the Red Bull. Now Jacques Jajar in third at the moment, doing very well, just setting a best sector there, I believe. That's the first sector. Then Alexis Maximus did have a bit of an off earlier in the race, but has managed to fight their way back up to fourth. The pit stop probably helped bring everyone back down to them, although they have got GT Racer about 3 seconds behind them. Oh, GT Racer and SNL Jam going very wide into that corner. Up ahead though, Jacques Jajar only 2 seconds down the line. So will we see SNL Jam overtaking GT Racer down the straight here? We did see previously that GT Racer seems to have quite good oomph down the straights, with the previous battle between themselves and Cthulhu, although SNL Jam pulling alongside. Let's go on board with SNL Jam. Blimey, look at that, they shot through. So let's have a look at the back of that replay. Going down, you've got SNL Jam just behind them, dips into the slipstream, dips back out again to get alongside, has the pace on the inside line of Parabolica now, just waits for GT Racer to brake and dips on the brake just shortly afterwards and takes that racing line through Parabolica and to take 5th position. So great overtake there from SNL Jam, but they are not out of the woods yet. There's GT Racer, it's only a second behind them. And Trouble is only 4 seconds, 4.3 seconds down the line with the Gazman in the Ferrari. Currently in 7th, Digweed in 8th. I do believe they may get a blue flag. Yep, you've got Jacques Jajar noticed in the background. But Paleschi back up to 8.5 seconds there. So Cthulhu was previously bringing that time down. I think they managed to achieve a 7.5 second gap, but that's almost back up to 9 seconds. Wondering whether Cthulhu's had a little bit of an off, not quite their fastest, a 16.8. Their fastest at the moment is a 16.1, rather interestingly. Cthulhu having set some of our fastest laps this season. I'm sure we can work out the stat of just how many they've managed to set, but I think it's quite a few off the top of my head. Paleschi, our leader at the moment, has the fastest lap with a 1:59. I'm not sure if anybody's managed to get that close. We've got a 16.1 from Cthulhu. Lexus Maximus also a 16.1. Oh, I don't think anybody else is quite as close. That's a 0.2 of a second gap from the fastest lap. I suspect it's the token spend that Williams very early on in the season. Now let's have a look down the rest of the grid order. I think we've got a couple of overtakes. Have a look up there. SNL Jam, I think, overtaking. Yeah, just going around Digweed from the blue flag. SNL Jam still up in 5th position, clearing through the traffic. Although, if I can find my buttons, you've got Gazman all over the back, going into Parabolica of GT Racer and coming back out onto the start-finish straight. Excuse me. They've got a bit of a double slipstream here. Will that benefit the Gazman going down as they try and get as much of a slipstream, clipping the grass as just passing through Digweed there. 216, 217 miles an hour. Is that enough? As they go down the inside line, oh, just nudging the back. I don't think they've managed. Oh, I think they just nudged a little bit. GT Racer holding onto that inside line. The Gazman, as they go through the chicane there, doesn't manage to make that move pay off. I think they got a bit too much of a nudge going on through there with a bit of rubbing, but neither driver off the track very nicely. Well, hold on there. But it does show that if Gazman can stay behind, they very much later of the breakers. Got plenty of slipstream going here. Can they make the overtake happen before the end of the corner? Looks like GT Racer, I think, backing off just a little bit there to allow them through almost. They've fallen behind quite significantly there. There was a bit of lift off. Didn't quite want to go too abreast into that corner as we head to Parabolica. So not even halfway through, and we are already seeing quite a few battles up and down the grid. Well, actually, not quite much the 9-second lead, 8 seconds, so pretty consistent. Cthulhu in second, Alexis Maximus they've got in third. They'll do them. Let's see if they can stay out of the gravel trap, particularly with Jacques Jajar, who was 4 seconds behind, now down to 1 point, even less than a second behind there now with that off there. Alexis Maximus currently in the standings. Their closest rival, I believe, was their name has escaped me, unfortunately. Guesty, that was. Nope, sorry, Noxie. That was it, with 83 points. Alexis Maximus at 85. They need to get quite a decent amount to split. Excuse me, sorry, split the difference. Not seeing any lunges from Jacques Jajar. They're going into Parabolic. I thought they might have a little bit of a lunge, but we'll just go back. We'll stay on board with these two. SNL Jam in the distance there, only 2.5 seconds behind. Digweed into just out of the pits there. I think Digweed's gone for the medium there. We'll see how that plays out for them. Now, looking at the team standings at the moment, Red Bull have got a sizable lead with 263 points. They've managed to build that up in the last handful of races. Now, off to a rocky start in the season, but come about round 5, they've really shot up and started winning races. So very, very good on them. I think we almost had a very 1-2 Red Bull at one point. Aston Martin coming in second with a 208 points, 208 points that is. Alpine have 193. They've been pretty consistent the whole way through the season. They're in third. Ferrari are in fourth with 177, though McLaren have 172 points in fifth. So Ferrari will be wanting to keep as many of those McLarens behind them. And fortunately for them, at the moment, the nearest McLaren is GT Racer. And both Ferraris of the Jacques Jajar and Gazman are still in the race, so they should give a bit more padding there between themselves and McLaren in the championship lead. Mercedes keeping afloat. They've been pretty consistent so far through the races. They've had a few off races at the beginning of the season, but I think they've managed to find their feet, tune out some of those maybe errors with the car. They're currently 163 points in sixth, but Williams very close behind them with 160 points. And looking at the fact that Williams, the Palashi, is currently in first, Alexis Maximus in the Mercedes is in third, we might see a little switcheroo there between the Williams and Mercedes in the team championship board. I don't think we've got any other drivers from Williams or Mercedes in. Now, just looking down at that fastest lap, Alexis Maximus is a 1:15.6. We did previously have a 1:15.9. Alexis Maximus shaving 3/10 off. That's quite a sizable chunk. However, Palashi's not going to let that down as they let that slide as they set up fastest personal best through the first sector. Only a 6-second lead at the moment between themselves and Cthulhu. Some damage to the front of Cthulhu's car. Let's see if we can go back to the replay and what's going on there. So going through the chicane at this moment here, just gets the back end. That'll be where, that was unlucky, lighting up the rear wheels as they go back on track. So yeah, they've just underestimated that corner a little bit, oversteered, gone to compensate, and unfortunately they've damaged their front wing. But it has managed to repair itself before the lap is out. Lexus Maximus going quite sideways there, coming through those corners, and looking at that, SNL Jam making their way up into 4th, having got past Jacques Jajar. And the Gazman. So both Ferraris in 5th and 6th at the moment. That's although Gazman into the pits, not into the pits. Ooh, very dangerous. As I believe their fuel light was flashing before they went across the start-finish line, which means they have got less than a lap of fuel left on board before they started this current lap. We'll see if they go for a bit of a lift and coast here and there to make sure they've got enough fuel to see them to get into the race, or could be just enough to get them to the pit entry. Once they've hit that pit entry, they are a-okay. That's all they need to get to. Will we see any team orders though from the Ferrari? Classically, we usually do, but Jacques Jajar, currently I would argue the #1 driver, given that Gazman's starting very late in the season. Not nearly as many points, but Jacques Jajar's been in it from the beginning. They're currently in 7th with 75 points. They as well could overtake Noxie here, who wasn't able to turn up today. As Noxie's on 83, they managed to get 8 points between them before they can overtake. Now, Alexis Maximus, it looks, is into the pits. Same with the Jacques Jajar. I suspect Gazman, yep, Gazman as well, into the pits. Now, Pelesci is still out, although Pelesci's fuel light is flashing at them. Their softs, super softs, are looking moderately degraded at this point. That rear left seems to suffer quite a bit. I suspect there's Curva Grande is probably not doing that rear left any amount of good, neither is Parabolica. That the outside tyres on the car, as you go around the corners, if you take a right-hander of Curva Grande, for instance, the load is all acting on that left tyre. But 7.2 second lead over Cthulhu at the moment. The little off they had there, probably not helping them, but doing a load of world of good to Pelesci. So will we see Pelesci come into the pits, and more importantly, what tyre will Pelesci go on to? Now, is Cthulhu stays out, interestingly. Their fuel light was definitely flashing well before they even approached the Parabolica. I'm not sure whether they're going to be able to make it across, but we've not had any incidences so far of drivers running out of fuel. But we'll certainly see and find out what happens here. Now, SNL Jam also into the pits, although Pelesci is out. Pelesci staying on the super softs, although Cthulhu now has a 26 second lead. Is that enough for them to get round? I'm not sure. Into the pits, I think it's about a 30-second pit stop here. So Pelesci may still stay out in front, but they won't have as big a gap as they previously had. They've just got to keep these tyres good and alive. SNL Jam coming out in 3rd, also on the supers. Alexis Maximus very close behind, hunting down the back, having pit just as well. Not as SNL Jam either didn't fill up with as much fuel as Alexis Maximus, or that Alpine has burnt through a ton more fuel, is a lot more fuel hungry than the Mercedes. Now, interestingly, I would have thought that Alexis Maximus would have gotten a good amount of speed or slipstream going down that there long straight. We'll see how they work. That Alpine seems to be absolutely pulling on that Mercedes as we go into Parabolica. Breaking quite late there to go for the late apex. bring it round onto the start finish. Alexis Maximus doing very well through that corner. They made a bit of ground between themselves and Cthulhu. The leaderboard there, not too sure where to place Cthulhu. Comes out behind Paleshi. We'll see how many seconds behind. Oh, 6 seconds. I thought it might be a bit closer there. But 6.5 seconds between themselves and Cthulhu. Now, Alexis Maximus still under a second gap between them. Oh, they seem to get round the chicane there a lot quicker than SNL Jam. Maybe taking a bit too much, or rather more curb than SNL Jam. Does seem to upset the car a little bit, taking a lot of curb there. And also does wear on the tyres a lot more than if you were to avoid going on those curbs. Interestingly enough, quite a few sausage curbs there. Doesn't seem to upset these Formula X cars. They're quite forgiving in drivability. Sausage curbs don't seem to abuse them too much. Now Paleshi's still out in first with a 6.4 second lead. Alexis Maximus though holding on to that 15.6 second fastest lap at the moment. As we are now gone past the halfway stage, drivers will be beginning to think of what strategy they're going to want to be playing for these next 2 pit stops, as a number of the drivers, particularly that of Cthulhu and Paleshi, are going to have to stop at some point to go for that medium tyre. Not many of the drivers as of yet have gotten that medium tyre out the way. Having said that, Jacques Jajar currently on the medium. Digweed also on the medium. Digweed giving a very helpful hand there to a number of the drivers down the start-finish straight with a bit of slipstream. I'm sure a lot of the drivers are appreciating that, as they just flash their hazards and allow them through as the blue flags are waved. Will they go faster? No, 1:16.4 there from Paleshi. So down a little bit on time, although 1:16.7 from Cthulhu. So still going faster than Cthulhu in second. A personal best from SNL Jam in third, a 16.3. Still absolute light years off of the 15.6 set by Alexis Maximus. Alexis Maximus, who was all over the back of SNL Jam, not entirely too sure where they seem to have fallen behind. Perhaps they've suffering a bit too much sitting behind the car. They've backed off with that one. I'm not too sure how much they can actually challenge SNL Jam for position in the championship, but it'll be good if they get a podium for this particular race. You can just see Gazman in the background there in fifth. They are about a second behind. Be a good haul of points. Don't think they can challenge for the championship, but certainly would help them later down the line. They may be able to leapfrog SNL Jam in the next few stages, although not too many races left to go. We have only got, I believe, 2 more races after today's Monza race. We've got round 11 next Sunday, and that's the Circuit de la Sarthe. That'll be with the chicanes. That's Le Mans to you and I. And then our round 12, which is our finale of the season, is at Suzuka. So a lot of drivers wanting to grab as many points as they possibly can. Cthulhu, I don't think is there's still every possibility that SNL Jam in second could catch Cthulhu in that championship. Ideally, Cthulhu wants to be up in first to get the most amount of points out of this. We also get some points for fastest lap, I believe. But that is going to Alexis Maximus for that ridiculous 15.695. That's quite impressive, that is. But then these Formula X cars are designed for downforce and speed, which is perfect for the temple of speed that is Monza. Now, will will we see another fastest lap from Paleschi? I don't think we will. They're just exiting that last corner. Yeah, 16.6, just a little bit slower. Not sure where on the track they were just losing out on a bit of speed. Let's have a look. So I think Gazman's still just a bit too far behind Alexis Maximus to really benefit from any slipstream abilities. And we've seen a bit of a fall back there from Jacques Chazard, and from Gazman. There's about 6.4 seconds between the two Ferrari teammates. GT Racer down in at 7th at the moment, with Digweed in 8th. So on lap 29, down to 2 seconds now between Mercedes and the Ferrari. I'm not sure if that Ferrari is really able to catch that Mercedes going down the straight. They've teams have spent a number of tokens already so far, and I suspect they've cheekily working out what some of the other teams have managed to spend their tokens on and reacted accordingly. Paleschi just coming up to the back of Digweed, I believe, there as we go around Curva Grande. We'll see Digweed just getting that blue flag, moving out the way. Very nicely done. Great sportsman behaviour, attitude there. Wonder if that's helped Paleschi in any way in getting back that fastest lap from Alexis Maximus. Although, at least for the sake of consistency, the last few laps have been somewhere between 16.3 and 16.5. There's a 16 in there. So, quite consistent, at least on Paleschi's part. 16.04 from SNL Dam. They had set the fastest lap of their race at 16.1 previously. Now probably getting really into the groove of things with the 16.04. Could have been helped a bit by the slipstream of Digweed for your slipstreaming purposes down that start finish. It's got a bit of a taxi service going on there. I'm sure all the drivers will be saying thank you for the aid after the race. Now only 12 laps left, and a number of our drivers having spread far out. We've got Gazman, who was all over the back of Cthulhu there. No, they were in front of Cthulhu here. So Cthulhu goes to the inside line on Parabolica, gets ahead of them before the corner. I think they just wash out wide. Yeah, just wash out wide a little bit there. Unfortunately, they lost that position to Cthulhu as Cthulhu got their elbows out. Did lift off though, going through Parabolica, as was mentioned by the stewards, as you can gain an advantage by taking a rather outside line there, but of course you exceed the track limits, and that's just no fun. You get a little bit more speed going down the start-finish straight. And Gazman just under a second behind Cthulhu. Now our championship leader there was a bit higher up the grid, had a little bit of an off though. He's dropped now down to 4th. You've got at the moment Paleschi in 1st, SNL Jam in 2nd, with Alexis Maximus in 3rd. That makes up our podium at this moment. Now interestingly, Paleschi, one of our newer drivers, I believe, let's have a little look-see at the current drivers, if one could even find it. Paleschi's currently sitting in 13th with 49 points, but they have done particularly well. Back in round 8, we did have them, I believe, winning the race of a whole 25 points there, with 18 in their last race. Didn't do so well in round 9, only scored 6 points there, but they look like they could be on for a good haul of points at the moment. Now, Cthulhu still staying out in front by about a second of Gazman. sure if the drivers' market has changed up too much, but let's have a look now. On board with Gazman, we gonna need to be pitting this lap, which I think, yeah, Cthulhu's still plenty of fuel on board, so I can see Gazman having to pit the end of this lap, beginning of the next. There we go, into the pit, which means that Cthulhu can stay out. SNL Jam into the pits as well, bringing Cthulhu up into third at the moment, but where will this get them at the end of the race? Paleshi just less than a quarter of a tank on board. Lexus Maximus having the red fuel light flashing at them as they've already gone and started onto a new lap. With Cthulhu just over a quarter of a tank. This could be the little benefit they needed, as Paleshi has a 19-second lead over Lexus Maximus, and there's 4 seconds between them and Cthulhu. So approximately 25 seconds between Cthulhu and Paleshi. Will they make that pit stop work for them? We'll see if they stay out, or they do. Paleshi stays out despite the fuel light flashing red at them. We'll see how that pays off for them. Now, what tyre of choice did GT Racer go for as they come out of the pits? They have opted once again for the Supers. This will be probably the second to last pit for some of these drivers, as the tank of fuel here only lasts about 11 laps. Now Cthulhu into the pits, interestingly. So previously we'd seen Paleshi always pitting before Cthulhu, which has always given maybe Cthulhu a bit of an edge there. But Cthulhu now into the pits, and Paleshi stays out, giving them a 42-second lead over an SNL Jam, which is plenty of time for them to dip into the pits, change a set of tyres, and come back out again ahead, and hopefully stay in first position. So yeah, 42 seconds. I hope for the sake of their fuel that they do. Oh, I think we had a bit of second thoughts there from Paleshi about going into the pits, but I'm glad they did. So yeah, 42 seconds should be plenty of time. SNL Jam, fresh set of supers there. They are currently in second with a 9-second lead over Cthulhu, who sits in third. Ooh, although Cthulhu under fire from Alexis Maximus. Now, Alexis Maximus, will they be able to clear Cthulhu before? Yes, they do. They managed to get the overtake done before the corner. I think Cthulhu just backing out there. No! Oh, Alexis Maximus. No. They managed to go round, got the inside of the next corner covered, managed to make the overtake stick, but I think they've just outbroke themselves a bit too much, taken the corner. Oh, locked up, I think, and yeah, those medium tyres, they've opted probably to see themselves to the end of the race, fulfill that commitment of needing to use two compounds, or both compounds rather, drops them from 4th down into 6th, unfortunately, but Jacques Jajar not too far up the field, just less than a second between them and 5th position, although Jacques Jajar on the super soft, so might have some trouble catching them back up again. Do you wonder whether the Ferraris have opted for the mediums already? I don't quite remember, but we will soon see. Now Cthulhu onto the mediums, SNL Jam on the supers, having used the mediums previously. Paleshi trundling along there. I don't think they're going to be setting any more fastest laps, but this is probably them done for the rest of the race. That's their last final pit stop, and they've got a 10-second lead over SNL Jam in 2nd position. So we'll keep an eye on them. I wonder whether the live timings will tell me who's pitted at what time. Afraid not, no. I was hoping it would tell me what tyres they all opted for. So quite a bit of spread out. Let's go on board with VRC Cthulhu and Gazman in 4th. not a lot of distance between them. Cthulhu trying to break the toe there by the looks of it from Gazman, who is very shortly behind them. Curva Grande, 210 miles an hour. That's oof. Don't want to make any small bit of any small mistake there could certainly send flying off. Well, we have seen quite a bit of bumping down there, a little bit of rubbing his racing and all that, and they've managed to make it stick. So could be just enough to keep them ahead. Down to 9.3 seconds. So 119 there from Paleshi just shows you the difference that those mediums make. They about three. I was saying 119 a second ago. 119 seems to have disappeared off the board. We had a 117 on the last lap there. So they were previously doing 116s on these supers. Now 117. Not as much of a gap. It's about a second and a half maybe that you lose on going from the super softs to the mediums. That obviously over the course of the race would have paid off. So wanting to stay on the mediums for as little time as possible is usually the best approach, but is it worth staying on these for a few laps just to fulfill that requirement and then putting the supers back on again? I'm not sure that will pay off. They've gotten quite lucky with having that lead. So it looks like Lexus Maximus catching the back end of Lexus, diving into that slipstream. Do we see them get the overtake done before Curva Grande? I think they definitely may have got it done. They have indeed. Beautiful move we got there from Alexis Maximus, making their way up into 5th place. Now Gazman up into 3rd. Cthulhu really fighting for that final place. Don't want to be putting too much effort into those tyres, eating them up quickly. They do have the mediums on though, the Cthulhu that is, so they've got a bit more grip to play, or got a bit more life, should we say rather, in those tyres, more so than Gazman. Though Gazman going very wide through Parabolica there, would have had to have lifted off, which has put them right into the clutches of Cthulhu. They tried to come across the track to break that slipstream, but I don't think it was enough. Cthulhu got some great speed through, that corner. Do we want to face the other way? Maybe? Who knows? Oh, Gazman just doing that, making that move work for them shortly before. So going to Curva Grande, Cthulhu's already got the overtake done, but Gazman's not finished with them just yet. Stay side by side all the way through Curva Grande, coming into the now first chicane here. Holds on to that inside line very nicely. Get your elbows out, makes the overtake stick. Have they hold on to it though? Yes, indeed they have. Cthulhu still in 4th, Gazman in 3rd, but Cthulhu not going anywhere anytime soon. Very, very nicely done. Now let's see if I can get my bumper sorted out there. Can we? No, doesn't seem to want to play ball. We will apparently be facing the wrong way the entire time. Down. Well, that's just lovely. Camera seems to be stuck on the rear view mode. Now, once again, 2 abreast around Curva Grande as Cthulhu tries to go for it again, but Gazman still has the inside line. I would have thought that Cthulhu may have learned, but Gazman just lined up the rears there. Gazman is on the supers, although Cthulhu just takes that inside line on that corner there on the mediums to take back 3rd position from Gazman. Now, do they have enough oomph down this straight that they can lose Gazman? I'm not too sure whether that Red Bull is actually quicker. Gazman going a little bit slower there. It's quicker rather than the Ferrari, but we will soon see. The fight for 3rd position continues on. Now I think there is a little bit there. Both Ferraris fighting for position now. We've got Jacques Chazal fighting for position 5. with Alexis Maximus. The Cthulhu, I think, just managing to pull away from Gazman. Don't want to be letting that, doing that too, getting away too far. We've only got 2 laps left of this race. They want to try and get round. If they can at least make the make an overtake stick just before the end of the race, they do a personal best there. Very nicely done. So they're certainly pushing that car as hard and fast as they can. Alexis Maximus and Jacques Chazal seemingly not swapping positions. Up to 1.8 seconds, so Alexis Maximus probably just getting a bit of edge out there. Not quite the comfortable lead they would have liked. 1.5 seconds again, also between Cthulhu and Gazman. So Ferrari's just dropping a little bit behind in these later stages. Those mediums serving Cthulhu quite well at the moment. Up in front, we do have Palashi, our leader, for pretty much all of the race, bar the first few corners there. SNL Jam on the supers in second. 9.8 second lead. I don't think they're going to be able to catch Palashi, unfortunately. And Cthulhu is certainly a league behind with 14 seconds. But they are dropping Gazman now, full 2 seconds behind, with Alexis Maximus doing the same to Jacques Chazal. Almost 2 seconds, not quite yet, with GT Racer and in 7th and Digweed in 8th. Let's just stay on board with Cthulhu here. Takes a lot of curve through there. It's quite a risky move this late in the race. You don't want to be doing anything like that because that could quite easily go very wrong, as they've had done in the rest of the race. Doing very well with that corner. They managed to get quite wide out through that corner, get some good exit speed through there. There's a number of times where I thought they've certainly pushed it a bit too far, but no, they've done spectacularly Cthulhu at the moment through here. Probably no wonder that they are, no wonder why they're currently leading the championship. Now the empty light has switched on, and we've just got just over a lap left before the end of the race. Could this be a bit dangerous? And will Cthulhu get to the end of the race as we get onto the final lap? Or just setting a 15.7 there. Alexis Maximus currently holds the fastest with a 15.6. Could we see a last minute fastest lap? And that was on the mediums as well. Can we see a last minute fastest lap from any of our drivers being Alexis Maximus's 1:15.695? I'm currently saying the best. I'm currently very worried about. Oh, Cthulhu at the moment manages to make it hold and stay on there. Just got the back. I think got the power down a bit too early there, and the back end stepped out. They managed to hold on to it. That's certainly a squeaky bum moment at that point. They've now got a 2.3 second lead. They'd managed to build that lead up between them and Gazman, but that's certainly going to bring them down just a little bit. And to make things worse, they've still got to worry about the fact that their fuel could be running out. Gazman equal in the same position here. Hey, would you look at that, Palashi coming across the line to finish first. Well done there, as we have SNL Jam rounding the last corner, them two coming in second. Very nicely done there as Cthulhu comes into Parabolica. Will they run out of fuel? Will they just have enough to coast across the line? We will see. Will we? I think they've managed to make it. I think they've got it done. Celebrating going across there. So they take a bit of grass with them. I'm sure the groundskeeper will love them for that. Cthulhu comes across in third. So that makes up your podium there. Palashi in first. SNL Jam takes second place, and Cthulhu in third. Very well done to all there. We're just waiting for GT Racer to come across the line. Everybody running it quite close to the wire at the moment there with their fuel. It's running it quite lean. It's expert driving. Go through the chicane. Do love this series of corners. As mentioned before, if you manage to sync up these corners nicely, you can carry quite a bit of speed through them. Just kissing each of those apexes you go through, which gives you a good bit of speed down towards Parabolica. And you want to lean over to the left, take a late braking, late apex, and you'll sail right through to Parabolica. And we have GT Racer coming across the line in seventh. A great race that turned out to be. Temple of Speed indeed. Some great speeds we had going through there. 210 through Curva Grande. And once again, a great well done to Poleschi coming in first place, going up 6 points from the starting grid. Now let's take a look back at the race results, see where else we came. Now, fastest lap was still held by Alexis Maximus. They set that on lap 16, so early in the race. 42 laps total, but we had lap 16 was when the fastest lap was set by Alexis Maximus with a 1:15. And then we have Poleschi coming in first. Well done them. Second on our podium is SNL Jam. The third place on our podium is taken by Cthulhu. No, I don't think that's too many points. I don't think between SNL Jam and Cthulhu to change up the championship, but it certainly brings it closer and eats away at that lead that Cthulhu had over SNL Jam in second. Now Alexis Maximus comes in fourth with Gazman in fifth. Sixth is Jacques Jajar, the other Ferrari from Gazman there. Seventh is GT Racer, and finishing our grid order today for the race is CRL Digweed in eighth. Great race by everybody. Thank you all very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next Sunday, where we will be. Excuse me, as he's definitely already forgotten where we'll be. That was it, Circuit des Arts. We'll be at Spa next weekend, so make sure you bring appropriate wear. It should be sunny, but with the flooding recently, who knows? Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.